This episode of the Brilliance Plus Passion podcast is brought to you by the Podcast Reach System. Are you ready to exponentially reach more profitable customers? Launching and hosting your own show is your proven best solution for networking, client attraction, and establishing your celebrity expert brand. Visit www.podcastreachsystem.com and claim your rightful place as the leading star of your industry so you make a difference for your community, market, and audience. Welcome to the Brilliance Plus Passion podcast. Join us as we celebrate entrepreneurs, business creators, and brilliant minds who reveal what they are doing to make the world a better place by being part of it. Be sure to visit our website at www.brilliancepluspassion.com. While you're there, subscribe to us via your favorite network. Now sit back, lean in, tune in, get your notepad and 2 pens ready, and let's get started.
My name is Adam Homey. I am your host, and I am honored by your wise decision to tune in once again and invest in yourself today. The Brilliance Plus Passion Project is just one of my podcasts, and the purpose of this one is to highlight folks who are making a difference in the world by their contributions to it and by being part of it. And today, this is going to be awesome. A great friend of mine, somebody I've known for a long time. We've done things together. He's been a client of mine. We've built a great podcast together, and I'm graciously excited to once again have him on a show of mine. He's been on my Business Creators Radio show. We may have him there again at some point. But for now, let's once again introduce, with applause, Bret Ridgway.
Woo! Hey, Adam, happy to be with you here today, man. Good to see you, man.
Heck yeah. So, Bret, as you know, for the format of this show, we just go through a series of questions. The idea is to help our listeners get to know more about you and what you do in a very, very compressed and organized way. So first of all, let's have you tell us in your own words, how does the work that you do make the world a better place for your clients, customers, and society at large?
Yeah, that's a great question, Adam. So a lot of people have a powerful message that they need to share with the world. And so they're thinking about becoming a speaker, and they want to become a speaker. Now, the fact is they need to become a speaker, but they don't really understand the speaking business. And so I'm taking my 25 years behind the scenes and helping people who have that message they want to share learn how to build a profitable business based around their own unique message. And there are a lot of mistakes that you can make along the way. And so helping people avoid those pitfalls and get their message out there to truly impact others is what it's all about.
Heck yeah. So in your own words, tell us what it is you actually do. Like, what's the product? What's the service?
So I've created a new masterclass called Spotlight Speaker Masterclass. So some branding there and consistent with the podcast and all that.
Yep. Spotlight on speaking, spotlight speaking. I love it.
And so it's about teaching people the pieces they need to put into place, from dealing with event promoters, what kind of speaker are you going to be, what are you going to do in the back end to monetize your speaking business, what are the pieces you need in place online to help people be attracted to you so that you can get on those stages to share your message. What are the right stages for you to be on? How do you determine that? And just every facet involved with truly building a speaking business based around yourself.
Great. As people decide and go through their process of finding their way to you, what are some of the frequently asked questions, or FAQs, do you get?
You know, one of the most frequent questions I get, Adam, honestly, is what kind of speaker should I be? And I will tell people always that it depends on what you want to do. I mean, and only you can decide that for yourself, because in my mind, there are 3 types of speakers. So you have the keynote presenter who's paid a fee to go in and speak to a corporation or an association. Yep. You have the platform selling speaker that speaks for free, but hopes to make their money selling a product or service from the platform. And then you have what I call the business builder speaker. And honestly, everybody should be a business builder speaker, even if they're not looking at building a speaking business. But you know, the question, again, you can determine what's right for you, but I will tell people that if it's about building a profitable speaking business, by and large, if you can become effective selling from the platform, you will make far more money as a platform seller than you ever will as a keynote presenter.
Absolutely. What are a few questions you wish people would ask?
Oh, gosh. How do I get started most effectively? So what are the pieces that need to be put into place from the beginning? And so many people think they can do this in a week or a month or 2 months or whatever. And it's like building a business, Adam. I mean, you got to put a brick in place at a time. That wall doesn't come up overnight or whatever. So what are the pieces that I need to put into place? What should I do first, second, and third? And then again, we talked about monetization, but if you're going to sell from the platform, if that's the model you wish to follow, well, what are the things that you need to look at? What are the things I should consider as a speaker if I'm looking to get in it in terms of how I'm really going to monetize my message? Should I do group coaching, one-on-one coaching, a mastermind, a master class, a membership site, whatever? So what are those things that I need to put into place, and what model works best long-term?
Yeah. I always ask this question because I know how it is when I get the same questions about my services over and over again, which I'm happy to answer on an individual basis. If somebody's serious about considering working with me. I also use that as the basis for the content that I create for the world, that I share through my emails, through my social media, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. But at the same time, I know that there are certain questions that people don't know that they should be asking. And me writing about them, I write content about that too. But if they don't know they're supposed to be asking that, it may not have the same effect or impact. So I wish they would ask me these questions before we begin the process of working together, because I think it would be greater up front. And I have not met anybody, and I've interviewed, I think, something like 160 people through this one podcast alone so much. And that is one of the main themes that comes up when I ask question number 4. But let's go ahead.
Well, what you say is so true, Adam, because you don't know what you don't know. And if you're looking at becoming a speaker, then there are pitfalls and there are mistakes that you can make that can cost you. Like, I've seen mistakes made that cost people hundreds of thousands of dollars. And it's about, if you can find a mentor and learn from what they've seen along the way and what they've experienced along the way and avoid those mistakes, and you can build what you're hoping to build much more effectively and much quicker.
Absolutely. So now we're going to switch gears a little bit. And this is the fun part of our conversations here. And this is where people get to learn a bit about you as an individual. So first thing is, what would people who know you be surprised to learn about you?
Oh my gosh. So I'm big into volunteer work, honestly. So I've been the Grand Knight of the Knights of Columbus here in Terre Haute for 6 years. And I'm also the treasurer for an Optimist International chapter. So I do a lot of fundraising and work at the soup kitchen and do a lot of things outside trying to build my own business to hopefully help others. So it's all about what you can give back to the community.
Right. And what do you hope people say about you when you're not around to hear it?
Simply, Adam, that, he's a good guy. He's a straight shooter, and he's having a positive impact on the world. So, nothing fancy. I don't need a big fancy eulogy or whatever. I just want people to think kind thoughts of me, man.
Nice. If you could go back in time and change one thing you've done, one thing you've experienced, or one thing that's happened, what would it be and why?
I was so satisfied for the longest time, Adam, being the back of the room guy. I mean, that was my shtick, so to speak. I was behind the scenes and all that. And I'm a fairly naturally introverted guy. So getting up in the limelight wasn't something that I, cared to do or whatever. But eventually I realized, Bret, you do have things to share with people that will help them along the way. And you're doing a disservice to them by not getting up on that stage and sharing some of the wisdom that you have. And so I overcame that shyness and that lack of courage or whatever, and eventually got up on the platform myself. And honestly, Adam, my biggest mistake probably over the course of my business career is not doing what I'm doing now 10 years ago, not having the courage to step out front and, brand Bret Ridgway. I overcame my shyness a few years ago and got up on the platform, but it was always on behalf of the fulfillment company. So I'm still kind of,
Yeah.
in a sense, hiding behind the skirts of a company or whatever, and not doing Bret Ridgway. So, coming out from behind that curtain, so to speak, and getting up on the platform myself and truly sharing what I've learned along the way in a proactive way to try to help others avoid those mistakes and get ahead is what it's all about now.
Yeah, our listeners might, or if you're watching the video version of this, they might have noticed I was typing something a moment ago. Something you said right there has inspired an email I'm going to be sending to my list in the next couple of weeks. I'm not going to say what it is. I'm going to let that be a surprise. But I will share this. Now, in all candor, some people who follow this already know, you're one of our clients, and we worked with you to create the Spotlight on Speaking podcast. Now, it has, as all of our podcasts do, an intro and an outro. So when somebody goes to spotlightonspeaking.com and checks out some of your episodes and they hear the intro, right where it says your name, we overlaid about 2 seconds of audience applause. Now, that was my idea to do, and I came up with it while me and my video editor were going back and forth on some of the layout and some of the pictures that we were going to put in the collage that makes up that video. What inspired me to do that was the thought that went through my mind of how many standing ovations your work has created for so many people over the years. And combined with that, how now it was your turn to take the stage and your turn to receive the plaudits.
Well, I appreciate that applause. And, I've spoken, 100 times across virtual summits and live events and all that over the years or whatever. But I will tell you, Adam, that, in my mind, we talked about keynote speakers and platform sellers and business building speakers and all that in the past. And, mastering the craft of selling from the platform is something I'm still working on myself. I'm still learning. We're all still learning, and it's a continual journey. And you've got to be not afraid, and you have to be open to continuing to learn new things and master new things. And so I honestly hope, Adam, to get to the phase where I'm the one up on that live event, getting the applause that I hear in that intro video for the Spotlight on Speaking show. So, kudos to you for coming up with that, and I'd love to hear it in person more.
Yeah. Some folks may think it's actually a little hokey, but I thought this was exactly the sentiment we wanted to send for Bret. Now, here's another person, speaking of fame, what famous person, alive or dead, would you like to meet? And if you had the opportunity, what question would you have for them?
Oh, gosh. Jeez.
And you met a lot of famous people, so I know this one might be tough for you.
I think I would like to sit down and have a conversation with Jay Shetty. I don't know if you know who Jay is, but he's a massive social media influencer, a client of the fulfillment company. And I've never met him in person, but I've seen his work and admire what he does. And, learning from people like that on how to best share your message with the world, I think would be a super valuable type conversation.
Absolutely. So what motivates and inspires you to keep going when you're having a tough time or facing a challenge?
As I mentioned, Adam, and I should have been doing 10 years ago what I'm doing now. And I'm old enough to retire. I'm 64 years old. But the thought of getting up every morning and saying, what the hell am I going to do today, just sounds so totally unappealing to me. It's about, what's the next great big challenge? I always say, keep on living till you're no longer alive. And so, the branding of Bret Ridgway and sharing what I've learned along the way with others to truly help them out and get their message out there in the world is my mission now. And, as much as anything, honestly, it's about proving to myself that I can do it. But, I hopefully some people will ride along those coattails with me, and we'll get them out there front and center, sharing their positive message.
Certainly. Now, we're right near the end of our time here, and in a moment, I'm going to introduce on your behalf, an invitation you have for our listeners and viewers. But before we do that, just tell us in general, what is one thing that you would recommend as an action for somebody to take right now as soon as they finish streaming this episode within a moment or so, after taking you up on your invitation, of course?
Well, regardless of what field you choose to pursue, I would highly encourage people, could be speaker, author, could be you just want to become a better attorney or whatever. Find a mentor in whatever your niche is. Find somebody that's been down that road before you to learn from, because you will spend a lot more time and a lot more money trying to learn it all by yourself and going through that school of hard knocks. So don't be afraid to bite the bullet and find a mentor that can guide you down that path. Now, if you're wanting to become a speaker, I would love to be that mentor for you. But regardless of who that is, find somebody that can help you along the way so that you're not struggling and sitting here a year from now or 2 years from now, in that exact same position. I mean, how many times, Adam, have you, sat in an audience at an event or seen somebody in an event and they're thinking, man, that should be me up on that stage sharing my message. Or, they may be looking at me saying, well, damn, I'm a hell of a lot better speaker than he is or whatever. But, if you're the one that's just sitting in that crowd, not getting out there and sharing what you've learned along the way, then you're truly doing a disservice to others. So don't be afraid to have the courage to step up there, get a mentor to help you along the way and get your message out there to others.
Absolutely. So for those who are watching the video version, you see it on your screen now. For those who are listening to the audio version, that's perfectly okay. I'm going to say it out loud for you. I'm going to give you 2 links to visit. The first one is to go to BretRidgway.com. And I'm going to spell this name for you because there's a little trick to it. It's BretRidgway.com. There's no E in the Ridge. So it's BretRidgway.com. When you go to that website, what I want you to do is I want you to find it on the front page, the special report called 3 Key Things Entrepreneurs Must Master to Build a Profitable Speaking Business. I've read it many times. It's an awesome report. Go to BretRidgway.com. And then also, I would encourage people, candidly, because I like folks to see my work, and you're going to get, let me just finish the URL and then I'll tell you what you're going to find. If you go to spotlightonspeaking.com, that's spotlightonspeaking.com, that's Bret's podcast. And it's like attending a seminar where some of the leading luminaries in public speaking, some of the top names meet with Bret and share some of the pitfalls they want you to avoid, some of the tips for success and their own stories. So imagine attending a seminar about public speaking from the comfort of your home office. That's spotlightonspeaking.com. And while you're there, of course, do stream an episode. Don't skip over the initial commercial. Watch it. And then don't skip over the intro, because I want you to hear that little applause snippet and see what we did there. It's one of the little jewels in my crown. I really love telling people about that. So with that, Bret Ridgway, thank you as always. And I know we're going to have you back here. We'll probably have you on the other show sometimes, and you and I are going to be doing some other things as we work our way along. But thank you for being here today. It's been an honor and always an education.
Thank you for tuning into the Brilliance Plus Passion podcast, where we celebrate entrepreneurs, business creators, and brilliant minds who are making a difference for their community, market, and audience. Remember to visit our website at www.brilliancepluspassion.com and enjoy even more great episodes like this one. Again, while you're here, subscribe to us via your favorite network. We look forward to seeing you next time on the Brilliance Plus Passion podcast.